Good morning, still morning, 11:59. Chris here, hope you're doing amazingly well. Welcome to Havering Means Business Does Lunch. I am in a really good mood today. Life is normally good, but today I'm having a good week. Maybe it's because life and the world seems to be getting slowly back to normal. Maybe because I'm seeing people face to face. Maybe because it's Havering Means Business Does Lunch. I've just got a lot going on in my world that's pretty positive. Let's invite everybody in. I know we're a minute early, but let's invite people in, Russ, and see what's going on in the world of Havering Means Business members. And who's going to come up first? It's always a competition. I think the person that's going to come up first is Mr. Simon Lewin. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well, and I'm not muted.
No, that's always a good sign.
It's got to be a good start for a Friday lunchtime, isn't it?
I ran. I think you've attended a couple actually. I run a inner circle event for the professional network, so the lawyers, accountants, HR, stuff like that. And I said I'd donate £1 every time I had to say you're on mute. And it cost me about £10 this week. So I thought that we'd all get better at it, but clearly not. No,
I think you're doing it wrong. Is that it should be the person donating £10.
I know.
Well, you donating it.
Then the incentive is the wrong way, isn't it? Clearly, I'm giving me the incentive to pay. Just as a little warm up, I decided to ask on my personal Facebook today, what your favourite city in the world is. So tell me what your favourite city in the world is. Where are you going to go when we can do that sort of thing again?
I'd like to go to Venice again. Lovely city, very quaint, lot of history, a lot of waterways. Yeah.
See, I like Venice, but I only like Venice at like 5 in the morning because otherwise it gets too busy. Like sort of 9 o'clock onwards. Have you been before? I'm assuming. How many times?
Yeah, no, we've been before. Only once, but we were very nice. It wasn't smelly. It was the right time of year because apparently the waterways can be a bit interesting. But yes, very nice, very quiet, very nice people. Lots of history, as I said, and great time.
Good stuff. All right, well, thanks for joining us on the meeting, Simon. Carol, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Hello, everyone.
I'm having a really, really good week this week. Really, really good. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction, so that's all I can ask for, really. Talk to me about your favourite city in the world.
I wish I could come up with somewhere, I don't know, a bit more obscure, but yeah, just New York City, Manhattan. I just love it. I'm just dreaming of getting there next year.
You know what? I was talking to somebody a lot because I'm sort of training for October again for the London Marathon. A lot of my conversations are about marathon chat, and I've got a friend who did the 5 boroughs of New York, and you go over the bridges and stuff like that. He said it was one of the best experiences of his life. Where do you particularly love in New York? What's going to be on like your first day when you get back?
I haven't been for ages and ages, and obviously this time I will have teenagers in tow, so I guess it'll all need to be directed towards them. But even just just standing in Times Square and going, look, it's real, all that stuff that you've seen on TikTok or whatever, it really is real. So yes, but for me, if it was just me, then it'd be more sort of down the bottom, like Soho and those sort of areas. So
Greenwich Village is amazing.
A little bit less touristy.
Yeah, I mean, my 2 experiences were I've got to play chess in Washington Square Park. You know that famous like park where they all play chess, and I got hustled out of $5 because those guys are really, really good. And I dragged I dragged Cassie about 25 minutes down the road to see the Ghostbusters fire station, and she wasn't happy because it was covered in scaffolding, and we just walked 20 minutes to see a building covered in scaffolding. But yeah, you have these experiences, don't you? New York is a very good shout. Steve, how are you, mate?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good.
Good. Talk to me about your city of choice.
I don't know if it's a city of choice. I think I'll probably, like everyone else, I've been sitting there looking at these far-flung places for the last year, thinking I'd go there, I'd go there, I'd go there. I still, to be honest with you, I still want my long overdue honeymoon. So I'm still wanting to go to the Amalfi Coast in Italy, which is
beautiful.
I've looked at many a photo. I've never been. Love to go, but probably end up being next year now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, parts of Italy. I mean, my particular favourite is Lake Garda. I love Lake Garda.
Again, that's another place. Yeah, another place on the list as well. So yeah, it's a very long list, unfortunately.
Well, we might get to a point when we can start ticking them off, Steve. But
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. At least we've got a trip to Wembley tomorrow, mate, to console ourselves, which I'm really looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it should be good fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Fiona, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Very, very good. Happy this week. Not that I'm not normally happy, but it's just been a particularly good week this week. Talk to me about where in the world you think that you're going to be visiting.
Well, my goal for when I became 50, which was a little while ago now, was to go to Ibiza and go clubbing in Pasha, which I still want to do. Yeah, so that's my goal actually, because I love all that sort of stuff. Just to do it.
Are you a secret raver, Fiona? We've not heard about it yet.
Well, I was a raver in the 90s. I was all the big fish, little fish stuff. Yeah, definitely.
What a time. What a time. You know what? It was funny because Phil Fitzgibbons, who's a member of our community, I've been going to his Saturday boot camps over at Damon's Hall. And I went into my gym because my gym had reopened. I went to my gym and they had a really good 90s dance soundtrack playing. I had to lobby Phil and go, look, Phil, you've got to sort your music out, mate. We've got to have a bit of 80s and 90s on there. So if you go onto Phil's Facebook group, which I think a couple of us are members of already, and ask him to share his 90s soundtrack, Hadaway What Is Love kicks it off, and it gets both better and worse as you go through. I mean, he had a bit of the Spice Girls in there, which wasn't my bag, but whatever floats your boat. What's your 90s dance track of choice?
Oh, I loved, now this is where the memory becomes a little bit blurry. But,
as it did in the 90s.
Yeah, I can't remember much, to be honest. But you see, young people don't realise this. We've had that life. You know, they don't realise that we've actually done these things.
Yeah.
So I liked, oh gosh, I can hear the track, but I can't picture it.
It'll come to you. We'll come back to you on that one.
It will come to it. But I really liked Connected by Stereo MCs.
Good track.
That was like one of my go-tos. Oh, loads. Too many to
my
know.
90s running track at the minute is Insomnia by Faithless. That is a perfect running track. Really, really good to run to. So yeah, we normally talk about music on Avery Means Business, but when that song comes up, I might have to get Spotify off, and if we're allowed to do 10 seconds before the copyright lawyers get involved, I might have to play it. Ian, talk to me about where you're going to go when you can sort of travel and do that sort of thing again.
I've been really fortunate. I've been quite a few places, and the place I want to go back to isn't that far away from home, actually. And I put it on the group this morning. I'd like to go back to Barcelona.
Yeah, I love Barcelona.
I love the old city, walking around, all of the Dali influences, the little pieces around, little museums.
Park Güell is just an amazing place, isn't it?
It's really lovely. Although what I'll have to do is I'll have to battle my my girlfriend because she wants to go back to Paris. So that's a struggle that we're going to have. Is it going to be Paris or Barcelona?
You know what? I mean, I like to walk around cities, and as walking around cities go, Paris and Barcelona are amazing. You know, like, so in Barcelona, you've got those massive long walkways, and you've got La Rambla, and you've got places that you can just wander around. I absolutely love it. What place wouldn't you go back to?
Well, that's hard. I think as a city, the city I wouldn't go to is Salt Lake City in the US.
Okay.
And that's one place. It's not that it's bad, but it's, as you've been there once, you've seen it. And for me personally, there's not a reason to go back. But
not enough there for a second visit, no.
No. And I agree with Carol as well. New York is another fabulous place to go.
You know what? I mean, I've only been to New York once, and we went in 2018, something like that. And we came out of JFK, and you can hear the taxi cabs beeping, and you know you're in New York straight away. I mean, that is just like amazing. I absolutely loved it. Thanks, Ian. We'll talk about business as we go around. Christine, how are you? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, no, I'm not. I'm off. My washing machine is going into crazy cycle at the moment, so I'm on headphones, so hopefully you won't hear it too much. So all is well. Nice to be back with you guys. It feels like family. It feels like I haven't seen you for ages.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. How's life?
Good. Yeah, really busy, but good. So yes, and enjoying this topic of conversation. So I traveled the world for 2 years back in the late 90s and saw the millennium in America. So I've got too many places that I'd want to return to. Top city would be Sydney, I think. I think it's a beautiful city there on the water and just beautiful architecture. But I have a significant birthday coming up in a few years, not just yet. And I'd love to do a trek in Nepal, go back there and do trekking in the Himalayas.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I mean, the problem is there are just too many good places to visit, aren't there? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just the world is. I mean, the reason that I'm asking this is because I was having a conversation with the kids about this a couple of days ago, and I said, look, I think London is one of the greatest cities in the world, and I still love wandering around London as a tourist and doing that sort of thing. And Charlotte reminded me that we were in Tokyo 2 years ago, and I said that was the best city in the world. So I just, there's too much. And the problem is, Christine, the last year has made it worse, hasn't it? You know, we're all desperate to travel now. But yeah, where would you? How long would you spend in Nepal trekking? How long would you be out there?
If I could take a month, I'd do a month again. Just because you probably need 2 weeks to trek to do it, give yourself enough time. Want to go back to Kathmandu, where there's a Chitwan National Park, and then there are other places that I didn't even visit when I was there the first time round. So.
And out of all the places you went, where wouldn't you go back to?
Where wouldn't I go back to? So it wasn't the world trip. 2 places I wouldn't go back to, not because again they're not nice, but I wouldn't go back to Dubai. Just because I'm not a shopper, so that whole high street or high-end shopping is just not me. The beaches, they're nice, but there are other beaches around the world, and so there's no reason to go back to Dubai. The other place which probably may shock people is Vegas. Been there, done it, got the t-shirt. I've been actually 3 times for different reasons because my husband wanted to do it, and I bought it as a special birthday present a few years ago.
See, I've been twice, and I always like them when I go, but 3 days, I just, it's too bright and synthetic and all of that sort of stuff. It's, I think it's a good experience, but yeah, I don't know if I'd rush back, to be honest, but yeah.
And to help Ian out, he needs to get the train to Paris or flight to Paris, then he needs to get the train down to Barcelona, and that you kill with 2 birds with 1 stone on 1 trip. It's not that
sounds good. Sounds like quite a good compromise as well, Ian. That's a solution. You're welcome. Marriage counselling as well. Thanks, Kristen. Really appreciate that. Terry, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Very well, thanks.
Now,
Good
I've
to
got a
see everybody.
feeling that your answer is going to be anywhere with loads of golf courses. Is that right?
Absolutely no, because if I'm going on holidays with my wife, and if there was any golf courses nearby, I'd be shot.
Yeah. So where are you going to take her?
We just love Paris. It's
Yeah.
cliche, but I just adore it. I mean, I like Rome as well, mainly for the food. But Paris for the brasseries and walking along the.
Oh yeah, love it.
Just glorious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to getting back there. So.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a bit of an art fan, so New York and Paris. I mean, the Musée d'Orsay is one of my favourite museums in the world. It's just brilliant. Where wouldn't you go back to?
Controversially, New York.
Okay, interesting. Why? Why is that?
Just bad memories. The first time I went, absolutely adored it, but I went there quite a bit for work. The guy I was working for wasn't a particularly pleasant chap, so just not. And
it's that
the
connection,
bustle,
isn't it?
Yeah, hustle and bustle was just. I mean, it's great when you first get there, but top tip: stay in a high-rise hotel and get a very high floor, because otherwise, all you hear is the garbage trucks and the police sirens, ambulance sirens. So
when we went, we stayed over in Brooklyn, and that was actually quite a good.
Right,
it was a bit quieter, and then not too far into Manhattan. But
staying downtown, like because I was had to get into the offices downtown. It's just relentless, and you just like
yeah. And I mean, it's always a different experience when you live in a place, and or you work in a place, and you're actually on holiday there, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. It feels different. You know what? I wouldn't go back to LA. I found LA just a bit soulless, to be honest.
We landed at LA airport, and I drove as quick as I could, which is quite slow in LA because of the
you can't move
straight to the coast. Just got out and then up and down the Big Sur, which was
San Francisco. I'd live in tomorrow. I love San Francisco.
Oh yeah, San Francisco, beautiful. Yeah, love that.
Yeah, but LA, I wouldn't. Yeah. Sam, hello. How are you? You all right?
Yes, thank you. Nice to be a member.
Welcome to the community. We really appreciate you coming along. You're getting a lot of love from the community already, and you're one of our new. We've had an influx over the last couple of weeks of new premium members, and you're one of them. So welcome to the community.
It feels like a lovely community. So thank you.
I mean, apart from the bloke who runs it, they're all lovely people. But I mean, I've heard better things about him, to be honest. Talk to me about where you'd go on holiday next.
It's interesting what everyone's saying, because I think growing up in a big city, because I'm originally a North Londoner, I don't tend to want to go to other big cities. I tend to like the opposite. And I spent my honeymoon actually in Japan. So I've also been to Tokyo, which was a great experience. I wouldn't necessarily go back, like you said, because I feel like I've done it. I've also never been to Vegas, and or Dubai, and I don't have the urge to go to either, because I'm so not into big noise, synthetic, man-made. I'm a bit of a history geek, and I love.
See, I'm like that. I've never been to Dubai, but I'm a bit like that with Dubai. It feels just like a city in the sand, doesn't it? You know, like
And I feel everyone wants to go to Vegas. I've got and I'm not a gambler, so I've got no interest whatsoever in going, to be honest. But where I really enjoyed in Japan was actually going to Kyoto.
Loved it.
Where all the old temples are, and there's a trail called the Philosopher's Path, and you wander along it, and you see all the different temples along the way. And my husband and I stayed in one of those old-fashioned, the ryokans, the old-fashioned
ryokan. Yeah, loved it.
It was
amazing. We stayed in a ryokan where at 7 o'clock every morning there was an old school sort of phone that used to ring to tell us that the lady was coming in for breakfast with like 15 different types of fish and stuff.
Oh,
it was an amazing experience.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, really good.
That was probably, if I was going to go, like, say what my favourite cities were, I wouldn't necessarily go for a capital city. I'd go for somewhere like that. But it's interesting what Fiona said about Ibiza, because we're looking at taking the girls. I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and we're looking at what our next family holiday abroad is going to be. And we're looking at Ibiza. I've never been. Obviously, it's not going to be the kind of holiday she's talking about, but maybe, Fiona, if you came along, you and I could sneak off and go raving together. I love my 90s music as well, and I would love to dance to all the music you suggested. My favourite is Entrance, Set You Free, and Baby D, Let Me Be Your Fantasy. So if we can dance to that,
They are two classic 90s tracks. I'll have to let Phil know so that when I'm at boot camp tomorrow, they're on the playlist. But all good. And Kyoto, I can't remember the name of the place. I mean, we went to the Golden Temple in Kyoto, which was incredible. And
if you can see behind me on the wall, there's a photo of it, and that was taken on our honeymoon by my husband. It's actually a picture of the Golden Temple right there.
That was good. And then there was a walkway, I think it was near the Golden Temple, which was just, you're walking between these bamboos that are hundreds of years old. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. Love Kyoto. I like the buzz of Tokyo, and I'm a bit of a geek, so all the gaming and stuff like that was really good. But Kyoto
crazy.
Was a relief.
It's a crazy city. Yeah,
it was. I mean, the fact that I like to run wherever I go. So I went for a run in Tokyo, and stopped to notice a sign that said, here's what you need to do in the event of an earthquake, which was a bit of a weird experience.
Reassuring.
But, yeah. Panic? I don't know, something. BJ, are you around on the call? I don't know whether you're here or not, because your screen's not on. I'll give him a couple of seconds to respond to see if he's around. No, he might pop in a little while, so we'll leave BJ for a minute, and he can pop in. Let's move on to talking about business. Simon, tell me what's going on in your world business-wise.
I'm just remembering to unmute myself again for those people that were waiting for me to donate some money to Chris, or Chris donates some money to me, whatever.
I mean, I was going to say it's charity, mate, but if you're offering, I'll have it myself. I'm relaxed.
I was going to say I'll match whatever you do for whatever charity has been decided. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. We'll take this. We'll make a decision after this meeting. We'll catch up, I'm sure. For those who don't know me, I work for East London Business Place. We are a funded organisation with Havering Council, amongst other funders, and we provide free business support to businesses in Havering and across London. I think a lot of people think free means that you don't get a good service. I think for those people who are already on the programme will vouch that they do get excellent value for money because they don't pay for it, and they get a lot of support. And the support is you're assigned a business growth manager, of which I'm one. But in addition to that, we also hire external trainers to provide support to our clients, ranging on different subjects, from social media to procurement to even a construction club that we've been running for the last probably 12 months. Which takes place on a Tuesday, normally the second or third Tuesday of the month. And that in itself has grown considerably, and people are, as it were, passing money around the room. Sorry to use that phrase from another provider, but it's nice to see that there is a good community there. So that's in essence what we do. I also bang on about the fact over the last 15 months, we've been supporting not only business owners, businesses, it's the business owners. So that mental health, accountability aspect of things, I think is really important for many SMEs. They work on their own, their partners in life might not understand they do, which are emotionally involved in people's business, and we can look at things in a very different way.
So it's interesting because my morning has been spent in a cafe in Upminster having a meeting with Julia Lopez, who's the MP for Hornchurch and Upminster. Okay. Who seemed, I've got no political bias either way, but seemed quite conducive to having a relationship with Havering Means Business, so we can support local businesses together. And thanks for your feedback about highlighting the need to just make sure that we're all looked after from a mental health perspective. The point that I made was when you're a business owner or leader, sometimes, you know, when I worked in corporate, we got the support from our employers or people, and it sometimes is a bit of a lonely place being a business owner. So I think that's a fair point, well made, Simon, and I appreciate you bringing it up. And the second thing is she agreed to come along and do Ask the MP for Havering Means Business. So we're in the process of setting that up now so that the community can challenge, question, feedback to the MP so that we can get the support we need as a community. So it should be good fun. Carol, talk to me about what's going on in your world.
I think I know everybody. I'm Carol from Door to Door. We're a leaflet distribution company. I run it with my husband Martin. And yeah, so we've been going along nicely and for the last couple of weeks. Got a few leaflets to show you as always. Beresford estate agents, they're obviously a chain, so they'll use us. We franchises, Radfield Home Care. I've actually mentioned Havering Means Business to them, so I don't know.
Well, I funny enough, Lisa and Jenny are clients of mine, and Radfield are a new premium member. So, I'm doing some work with Lisa at the moment. She gave me a nudge saying I want to join the premium community. So, Lisa and Radfield are now part of the premium community.
Oh,
it's
perfect.
A small world, Carol, isn't it? It's a small world.
And then there's an eyelash bar in Romford opened up that again, I'm going to be mentioning both Simon and Havering Means Business to them. So I'm on to them. And look.
Oh, look.
It's
Who's
Terry
that?
and Gemma, and they've been really, really brave, and they're going with that people buy from people. So they're on their leaflet, and I hope you can see it's glossy and lovely because we're appealing. Well, we are distributing around the big houses in Emerson Park to try to get business owners and decision makers. So with Terry's permission, you get a look at his, as Fiona would call it, his fizzog.
Well, I'm disappointed because there's not a golf club in sight, Terry. What is going on?
It's also not very representative because I'm wearing a suit and tie and I don't think I've worn that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a really good leaflet, and I think the challenge when you've got marked and you've got to go for your audience, haven't you? So you know, it's you don't know who you're speaking to in those places.
Well, that's why
when are they going out? When are Terry's going out, Carol?
They started this week, so he's had his little weekly report on Wednesday, letting him know which mats are being covered, and we printed these as well, although it had to be Terry's design because there's so many regulations to stick to. Yeah. But I just really quickly wanted to show you one that we did design. This is, it's not in Havering, it's one that's in Ilford, but we can do all sort of design for you and print. And we're looking for new post people. We're generally looking, but we're really struggling at the moment. It tends to suit retired, semi-retired, older people that want to get a bit of exercise, and it's just a bit of pocket money. So yeah, if anyone comes into your mind that might want to give it a go, then please let me know because yeah, we were really good, and now we're not so good again.
Yeah, so you're in the recruitment trail, then we need to support you with that. So we'll Ras, talk to me about that after because we might be able to help in some of the local groups that we're in, right? Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I'm assuming Rose is answering, so that's fine. Steve, talk to me about where you are business-wise, mate.
Well, you'll know me. I'm Steve. I am an account director for ERB Commercial Insurance. We're commercial insurance brokers dealing with all manner of commercial insurance requirements, whether it be property, motor, PI, liabilities. The list is quite a lengthy one, so I won't go into every type of product we deal with. Yeah, the market is pretty much, as I've said in probably previous meetings, it's quite volatile at the moment. Insurers are really trying to push their rates on from previous years. This is probably due to the fact we're entering what's known as a hardening market, where insurers have probably underfunded premiums for a number of years, and now the pressure is on low interest rates that shareholders aren't actually getting dividend payments. So they're pushing insurers to push up rates. So it's quite a bit of an ordeal at the moment. We have to spend a lot more time on all of our cases negotiating. to give you some sort of indications on some cases where we're entering renewal negotiations 2 or 3 months ahead of the actual renewal date. But we are getting there. We're still finding insurers applying what's known as a dual pricing strategy, which is, in one hand, we want these for the renewal. On the other hand, show them a bit of new business, and they'll quote a price which is significantly lower than what it would be for the actual retained business. So, yeah, like I say, it's one of those moments. I mean, we are going to find it's going to get more and more difficult over the next 12, 18 months, but that's probably going to be a reflection of where the economy is going as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask that because our experience, what we do is that those trends tend to be cyclical in nature, you know, go through. And do you find that in the insurance space as well? Yeah,
I mean, what you tend to find is the insurance sector probably tends to kick in. I mean, we used to call it the 7-year cycle from soft to hard market. That now seems to have got significantly longer. I think the cycle is probably now about double that. It's probably sort of 12 to 14 years is the cycle as a whole now. But it tends to be the insurance market kind of turns before the economy does. And we've seen the market trying to push on probably for the last 6 to 12 months. And we imagine it's going to get a lot more difficult in the coming months. But I think that's probably, like I say, you look at where the economy's sat, the interest rates are low, inflation's probably going to start kicking on, Brexit's probably going to have more of an impact as well. Yeah, so
but that's not sector specific either, Steve. It's across the entire insurance piece, is it?
Yes. It's just, I think it's just a matter of the fact that you consider there's not as many players in the market as well, in the insurance market, as there has been in years gone by. There's lots of acquisitions and mergers and stuff like that, which means that the pond we get to kind of fish in is getting smaller. So
yeah, cheers, Steve. I mean, like when my PI renewal comes up, you've given me some really positive things to think about.
Sorry, mate. I want to bear bad news and all that. I'd rather be forewarned than forearmed.
Exactly. Well, you owe me a beer tomorrow for that. I mean, literally, we'll talk about
I'm sure I could stretch to a beer. I've got no qualms about that. It would be nice to get out and about for a change. So.
It will be good. Fiona, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks, Chris. So I've just been annually reviewing my clients this week. A few new clients. I've been one-to-oneing networking, so it's been pretty busy. And I've actually got another client very soon, so I'm really sorry. I'm not doing it as a 2 fingers up, Chris. I genuinely have to go. I can't stay for your presentation, but I hope it goes well. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
And talk to me a little bit about where your new clients are coming from. Are they from networking or are they from?
Everywhere, really. So one client, funnily enough, I met when I first started up the business, who is basically a friend of a friend, and she's come back to me 3 years on, and yeah, it's going to be a really nice relationship we're going to have, I think.
But you know what? So, I mean, I was saying this the other day in the community. Some of those relationships, particularly when it's a position of trust, take years to evolve and develop.
Yeah, totally.
Don't they? Yeah,
they really, really do. And they're some of the best ones you can have.
Yeah, 100%. And I know we had a conversation the other day about collaboration, and you know that I'm keen on doing that.
Yeah.
Do you think in the modern business world that's the only way to be, or do you think that actually having a bit more of a sort of closed approach might be appropriate for some businesses?
I don't know. I think it's a bit short-sighted, really. I think you should always be open to things. You never know what's around the corner. Plus, also, you know, people and businesses do different things. There's a different approach. They'll appeal to different people. There's enough clients out there for absolutely everybody. And I feel to have that kind of, kind of closed off approach is very alienating, and it's not necessary in this day and age.
Well, I mean, for me, it just allows me to refer to other professionals I trust, even if they're in the same sector, if the client isn't right for me.
Yeah.
So that supports us doing that. So thank you, Fiona. I really appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Ian, talk to me about what's going on in your world business-wise.
Yeah, there's a few things bubbling along, doing some more procedural work with a few people, and it's one of the latest clients actually is a self-employed person that's got a business, and they're wanting to utilise me, which is unusual for having someone in that space wanting to be viewed as that professional. Yes, they're in a service industry, but it's not usual to do that. But good on him. I mean, I'm keen to find people like that. You know, people that want to do things in the right way.
Well, I suppose part of that is, you know, get your compliance right day one, and then it's, you know, start with the foundations, put those in place initially, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you start off going completely the wrong way, it's always more difficult to turn a vehicle around than it is to just veer off a little bit. And of course, the larger the vehicle, the more difficult it is to turn around.
What sector are they in, mate?
They're in a life coaching business. So it's and again, it came through a networking contact. Someone that has just come back to the UK from having lived abroad for a while, and wanted to get everything right for the UK. Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ian. Really appreciate that, mate. Cool. Just a quick shout out to the people watching on Facebook that I know that Russ is keeping an eye on. If you've got any questions for anybody in the community who's on the meeting today, or you've got any comments, or you want to mention your favourite city, feel free to put the comments in the box, and I'll make sure that you get a mention when we're during the meeting. Christine, talk to me about what's going on in your world.
Well, I want to do a second shout out to Simon. So I did one just in the chat to say, yes, definitely, if you haven't heard of ELBP, definitely get in touch with Simon and follow up with him about what the Building Legacies programme is about. And just my second shout out is to thank him for letting me do a presentation last week with his monthly group. That went well. And I need to follow up with Simon just because we've got a few leads, and obviously he likes to kind of keep on top of how things are moving. So thank you to Simon, because we are getting extra business our way and it's been busy. And then the presentation that I did in another group yesterday, it's just thinking about where our businesses are now compared to maybe where they were 12 months ago, not even just COVID related, but what's our own personal growth. And so Tracy and I have been doing a lot of building on new platforms for the clients, and that's kind of tested us, but it's kind of helped us grow as well. So kind of enjoying this more.
So tell me a bit about that then. What new platforms have you had to sort of get involved with and adapt to in the last 12 months?
So getting our head around WordPress, which we kind of tried to avoid before because it felt a bit too kind of website developing rather than website designing, what Tracy and I were leaning towards. So it is a bit more techie and geeky in the back end, but we're kind of getting to grips with that. Working on Shopify for e-commerce, and then Kajabi for somebody doing training. So yeah, just some new platforms. I mean, they are all quite similar at the end of the day, but it's obviously, you know, when you get your teeth in something, it's just kind of slightly different, and then you kind of have different functionality. You think, oh, this is really nice, I like this, and you just kind of wish that they would all just kind of merge together and just all be brilliant.
It's interesting, Christine, because when I was speaking to Julia, the MP, earlier on today, I did say to her that I think we forget that there are businesses that have thrived in the past year and not just survived, and we need to make sure we spotlight some of those businesses as well. Mm-hmm. And I think we've all had to adapt, but certainly you've had a really good year, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I mean, we were steady during lockdown 1, which was brilliant, and then yeah, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 months it's just gone crazy. But yeah, we're getting noticed. I think it's, again, I think when lockdown first started, Zoom felt a bit icky, and we kind of thought, well, if it's only 3 weeks, let's just kind of wait till we go back to normal. And obviously realizing that this is the new normal, we kind of got on board with being, you know, active in as much as we could. And I think it pays off. Like, we all know, because we're here, that networking works, but we've had to do new networking. But it really is kind of helping us, and we are trying to be out there as much as we can.
I still quite like a face-to-face meeting though. I've been doing a few over the last couple of weeks, and they've been really nice. So yeah, I don't know if I go back to Zoom 100%, but having a bit more of a sort of time efficient combination makes sense to me. Thanks, Christine. Really appreciate that. Terry, talk to me about what's going on in your world work-wise, mate.
Yeah, hi guys. For those that don't know me, Terry, I'm a partner for WPA Healthcare. We're a private medical insurance provider. So we provide insurance for our individuals, families, and all the way through to small, large businesses. Most of the focus of the last 2 weeks has been with Gemma doing her training. Gemma's my daughter, who currently is my account manager, but will become a partner in WPA as of next week. So she'll go live next week. So her doing the training means I'm doing the childcare, which is challenging with a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So, but he's been keeping me busy. So yeah, that's been great. Business-wise, WPA have just released a wellbeing health hub on our website, which is free to use for anybody. You don't have to be a client. So wpa.org.uk. Just got some tips on there about resilience, about like mental well-being, and some other stuff on there. And yeah, generally usual story. I like a few thanks to Steve for a referral last week. That was great to see. We've had a couple of other referrals coming through from, as I think someone was saying earlier, from 3-4 years back. I had one of the SJP partners that we spoke to when they first started the business 5 years ago, called me up out of the blue and said, "Oh, you still do WPI?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's, "Okay, can you talk to this chap for me?" It's just amazing now how people remember those things, and it's worth the effort getting out and talking to people and just not expecting instant go, but it's there. And
just carry on building a relationship, right?
That's absolutely,
100%. And how many games of golf have you had, Terry, in the last couple of weeks?
The last couple of weeks, only 3.
Only 3.
I played yesterday at one of the most exclusive golf courses. I'm fortunate enough to belong to a livery company in London, and we have society days on that. So there's a club called New Zealand Club yesterday, and the weather managed to stay not quite as blowy as this, so we managed to get a decent round over there. So. And
how's your game since lockdown? Is it
not one to brag, but I was in contention. There were 3 of us on the same score. So it goes to count back, and I was 3rd on count back, unfortunately. But
there or thereabouts, right?
Yeah, it's good enough for me.
Good, well done, mate. All right, good to hear from you. Yeah. Sam, tell us a little bit about you and what's going on with you business-wise.
For those who don't know me, I know a few people here. I run a business that helps people prepare wills and powers of attorney, and I work for myself. Before lockdown, this involved me in my car driving around West Essex and East London, visiting people. But obviously, since March last year, it's involved me sitting at home on my computer, doing it all virtually via Zoom. Again, something I didn't really understand, found a bit weird to do online consultations. Now it is my new normal. My clients are all very happy doing it this way, and I think it has meant that I've been more time efficient, definitely, and I've been able to fit more clients in. It also meant that I've been able to reach clients all over the country, whereas before I was limited to where I could drive in my car. And I think the suggestion perhaps of doing an online consultation further afield before wasn't really something people were really that interested in, whereas now I think it's normal and it's acceptable, and it's definitely helped me improve my reach. And it's something I hope, like you said, Chris, I'd like to have the balance of both in person and online, because I think I am starting to do in-person appointments, and there's a certain sector of my clients that prefer that. There's also a lot of people that are quite happy to stick with online, or if they're further afield and I can't visit them, they're happy to do it online.
I mean, it's an interesting one, Sam, because for a few years now, we've had people come and see us in the office, and that's time efficient for us, because actually a face-to-face meeting then doesn't take too much more of our time because they're coming to see us. But when you're in your car, you can lose a day, can't you, travelling around?
Yeah, certainly, sometimes the evening appointments tend to be better because there's less traffic, but certainly in the day, the time you can spend in the traffic, and also I've got that pressure of making sure that I'm home for 3 o'clock because I have 2 little angels to pick up from school. So my working day is very much shorter, and I have to fit everything into there. So I think my days have probably been more productive because of it, but there will be some element creeping back, and I'm grateful for that, because I also like the one-to-one. I think there's something about sitting in a room with someone that the relationship that that builds that way is lovely. But I think the way my business, apart from that, has changed since lockdown, as well as the online stuff, is I think predominantly my business tended to be 95% wills. Even I do powers of attorney as well. since last March, I think the awareness that's around now because of COVID, making people realise how important it is to have powers of attorney, even temporarily, if someone becomes incapacitated. There's been celebrities like Kate Garraway talking about her husband being really ill, being in intensive care, and the difficulties she faced because they didn't have powers of attorney and that she wasn't able to use a lot of his financial assets. You know, a lot of people are realising this, and I'm getting certainly a younger demographic, so people like my age in their 40s and in their 50s as well, not just, it used to be people getting them done for their elderly parents worried about dementia. Now it's people of all ages getting their wills done and also getting their powers of attorney, or ex-clients that I've done wills now coming back to me and saying, we know we need to get powers of attorney done, can we do them now? So it's very much 50-50 now for me with wills and powers of attorney, with how much is being done. And, you know, it's making me finally do my own power of attorney, which I'll admit I hadn't done mine until this point either. I've got my wills done, but it's also made me realise it's something important.
Well, it's interesting because Cassie and I did our power of attorneys probably about 2 years ago, but that's 8 years into running and building our own business. And I think you get around to these things, but I think the last year or so has made more people realise I probably need to get something sorted sooner rather than later, right?
It's a sign of the times, and though I don't want to be seen that I'm kind of profiting from people's panic and, you know, that they're getting all these things done, I think sometimes it takes something like the pandemic to come out of the blue for people to realise I really should get this stuff done. And it's probably the same for you, you know, and Fiona, the same thing you say to people with getting their insurances in place. You never know when these things are going to be needed, so get them in place. Hopefully a lot of them, like powers of attorney, you'll never need them, or will, obviously you will need that eventually, but get it done, get it in place. It's so much peace of mind, and you know that if the worst happens, at least your family are gonna be okay, and at least that way financially they're going to be looked after.
Great stuff. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. BJ, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Chris. Apologies for being on mute earlier on. Had a client call come in.
It happens. No worries. Well, I mean, you've got two sets of questions to answer now. We've got our icebreaker, which is what is the place in the world that you're going to visit first when we can do that sort of thing again?
I suppose getting onto the continent of Europe would be good, just to travel around. I mean, it's a beautiful place, isn't it? And not too far. So yeah, Europe, definitely.
And if there was only one city that you could go to, where would it be?
Oh gosh, I do like Rome.
Yeah,
I do like Rome.
Yeah, loads of history in Rome, and the food's not too bad either. It's all good. Tell us a little bit about your practice.
So my name's BJ Chong. I'm a lawyer at Palmer's Solicitors, and it's a firm with 4 offices across Southeast Essex, staff about 100, and we do all the things that you expect solicitors, practices to do. So we've got private client departments, commercial departments, do property work, dispute resolution. I know Sam talking about wills and probate. You've seen strong demand in that area, and really interesting to listen to the conversation going around about working online, face-to-face meetings. We're going through exactly the same scenario as everyone else, and you're absolutely right. The relationships are so different depending on how things are done, and you're right that certain demographics are okay with Zoom on remote type of interaction. I notice generally commercial clients prefer that because time is money. They don't want to travel around to see you in the same way that you want to pack in more to your day. But what we tend to notice in the practice is that the more elderly, or it generally tends to be that kind of demographic, they much prefer face-to-face, and that's so.
I agree with that, but I also think the comfort level over the past year has changed. So my experience has been that because it's been a necessity, our older clients have had to get used to some online stuff more than getting there. And it'd be interesting to see whether we go back to whatever normal looks like, or there's like somewhere in between.
Absolutely. I guess maybe like Sam, I've done my stint during the early part of last year in the pandemic when I was called out to execute wills on behalf of colleagues because I happened to be going into the office. So, you know, you'd be standing in car parks watching people sign through windows and, you know, take 6 steps back and watch someone sign behind on their doorstep, put the paper down. So you know, we've done all of that.
Yeah, it's. How are you finding? I'm assuming that you've got clients coming into the office now, have you?
Yeah, we stayed open throughout. It was surprising the amount of footfall. So we just made sure that as early as possible we got kind of COVID, they call it COVID ready or COVID secure guidelines implemented as quickly as possible. Yeah, so that's what we did. So, but we stayed open throughout.
Great. Well, thank you for coming along today. Welcome to the Havering Means Business community. And yeah, it's a pleasure. We've known each other for a few months now, so thanks for coming along and supporting the community, BJ. I really appreciate it. So you've got me presenting today, which feels a bit weird because normally I'm hosting these events and I get a break, so I get to pass on to somebody else. But I suppose it was about time that I presented at Havering Means Business event. Before I do, and I'm going to talk to you about the practical tips we share with both clients and in a more wider community about what financial success looks like for particular individuals. A couple of Havering Means Business notices. So we're going to have some live events coming up. We're in the process of looking at how we do those and getting venues and delegating to members of the community to organise some of those for us. So that's happening. And the other thing is as well, and I know that we had a meeting a few weeks ago where we were talking about charity partners for Havering Means Business. So that if you had a special offer and you wanted to make a gift to a charity, we're on the last steps of picking our 3 charity partners for the remainder of 2021. That will be St Francis Hospice. We've got a really good relationship with them and they're coming on board. Havering Mind, Kieran at Havering Mind speaking at the next event, and we think, and we're just finalising this, it's going to be First Step, which is a special needs school in Elm Park that we want to be supporting as well. So they're going to be our 3 charities for 2021. I'm sure we're going to be doing some fundraising as a community over the course of the next few months, but I just wanted to make sure we announce that. In terms of what I'm going to present on, I want to talk about the things we talk to our clients about when we start thinking about and talking about financial success. Okay, what I want to do is talk a little bit about me, and a lot of the members of the community know me, but hopefully I'll share some things. Russell's put a typo in there on purpose. I think he's got the Stephen habit, so I don't know who Stephen is, but apparently that's meant to be 7. Russ, what's going on? I want to talk about potentially getting help. I want to talk about taking actions, and then I'm happy to answer any comments. So a little bit about me. I'm Chris. I'm a dad. That's the most important job in the world, because everything I do, both professionally and personally, is about being a good role model to my 2 girls who are 17 and 9. I am a dad, but I am the worst homeschooling dad in the world. So it's lucky I'm a pretty decent financial planner. I run a business called Savello, as you know. We've been in an independent practice now for the last 11 years. We've grown throughout that time, and now we look after about 250 to 300 private and corporate clients, mostly in the southeast. I'm a chartered financial planner, and Savello is a chartered financial planning firm. We're the only chartered financial planning firm in Havering. There's a handful of chartered financial planners, and for the majority of East London. When you get to the city, there's a few more firms, but there's not that many in East London. I think there's 1 in Ilford. So we've worked really hard on our own personal and professional development to get to a point where we can use that badge and support our clients with the knowledge and skills that we've developed over that time. But my day job is working with clients, and the majority of the time I spend working with clients is with people who have reached a point in their lives where they've built wealth and are thinking about what's next. The last year has really seen a level of growth in that in that area. So we've been having loads of conversations where people wants to make a transition in their life and think about what's next. Now, I'm always a bit, I always get a bit funny when people tell me how brilliant their business is, because I think, you know, sure, you're going to say that. And it was funny because I was wondering about the best way to, oh, sorry, I run Havering Means Business as well. I forgot about that bit. But you know that already because you're here. So I, as I said, I always feel a bit funny about telling people how good we are, because I think the best advocates for our business are always our clients. And funny enough, on Facebook yesterday, Havering Chamber of Commerce profiled Savello as their member of the month. And one of my clients put this comment up. Chris and his team have been looking after me for the past 4 years and they've been amazing. Feel secure in the knowledge that my finances are being managed excellently. And very nice people. They're speaking about Cassie as opposed to me, clearly, and an absolute pleasure to be with. And that to me is why I get out of bed in the morning. If I can help people sleep better at night, making sure that we look after them financially, that's what I want to do. So let's explore some of the things that we help our clients with, and what we support them with to make sure that they achieve their version of financial independence. Often when people originally come to see us, they come to see us with a very direct reason. I want to get financially organised. I've got pensions and investments I want to sort out. I don't think my money is appropriately invested and I'm confused. I want some clarity in terms of where we are. When we sit down and really understand what that individual's about, the question changes. And the question fundamentally for most people is, have I got enough? Have I got enough money to make sure that I'm never going to run out? Have I got enough money to make sure my family are going to be okay if I'm not around? Have I got enough money, because I've worked hard all of my life, but I want to start thinking about reducing my inheritance tax liability? And have I got some money, and this is most of the conversations I've been having over the last year, to make some fundamental changes in my life. We've seen, you know, a decent number of people over the past year really think about what their future looks like and want to get super clear on where they are financially so they can make some of those fundamental changes. And what we do is give them the clarity financially to be able to make some of those changes. But one of the conversations we always have with clients is, we can get clear on where you are financially, do all the technical elements, and effectively work out the most tax efficient way of achieving a goal. But we also have a conversation about life. And enough isn't always about money. Enough is often, in our experience, about time. If you've achieved a level of financial independence, what does the future look like for you, and how are you going to spend that time? Because if we don't know about how you're going to spend that time, we can't backwards engineer the financial side. Fundamentally, for me and for the conversations I have with my clients, it's about choice. You know, it used to be years and years ago when I first started my career, a conversation about retirement. And retirement for a lot of our clients now is a bit of an outdated concept, because people actually now want lives where they are spending time doing things they love, and that might include work. Our job is to make work optional. So the question we ask clients is, if we were to get you to a point where work was optional, what would that look like, and how would you spend your time, so that they've got the choices to choice to do that. And the question that we ask, and it's quite a direct one, but one that's quite powerful, is if you knew you only had a year to live, or a month to live, or a day to live, how would you choose to spend this time? And that gives us an indication of what they'd actually spend their time doing and what's valuable really in their lives, because that then allows us to get them to a point where they can choose to do more of that. But if I asked you a question about what the next 30 years look like, it's really difficult to answer that question. And we try and give and empower our clients with tools and questions to think about how they might do this. And one of the books that we really like is a book by Bill Burnett called Life by Design, that talks about conversations we can have with our clients, and you can think about what the future of your life looks like. And one of the tools we use is this one. So when we speak to clients, we talk about, what does plan A look like? If everything goes to plan in your life, financially and otherwise, what would be your ideal future? What does plan B look like? If everything went wrong, what would you do? And what would you be happy and comfortable with? And my own personal favourite, the wild card. And the two questions there are, if money was no object, if you knew you weren't going to run out of money again, and you knew nobody would laugh, how would you spend your life and your time? Now, a lot of our clients might want to start thinking about financial independence and how that looks like for them independently of us. So what I wanted to do today in the community is share something that's going to be really useful. You may not think you're ready to see a financial advisor or planner yet, but allows you to work out what your number is, the amount of money you'll need to achieve financial independence. There's a really good book on this called The Number by Lee Eisenberg, definitely worth picking up because it thinks about achieving that level of financial independence for you. And there's a rule in that book called the 4% rule. And that talks about the amount of income you think you're going to need to be financially independent. Work that out, divide that figure by 4, multiply it by 100, and that's a quick way of knowing whether you've got enough wealth in terms of achieving financial independence. Now, don't worry if you're not there yet. Most people we speak to aren't, but that will show you where you are and work out the gap. One thing on that, it's a very, very broad stroke way of doing it. We do it in this a far more nuanced way when we sit down with clients, but certainly it gives you a bit of an indication to where you are and where you need to get to. One thing that we've learned from clients and we recommend to clients is automation. What can you do? And there's, again, really good book on this called The Automatic Millionaire by David Back. I've got a really good story about this. My first job was working for the Woolwich Building Society in East Ham in East London. I had a financial advisor who worked in my branch called June. Who, when I was 18, I went to the branch manager of the Woolwich in East Ham and said, you know what, I'm not going to pay into the pension because that 50 quid that I'm putting into the pension, I can spend in the pub on a Friday night. And that was my priority when I was 18 and 19. Not anymore, now I'm a bit older, but that was a priority. And the lady who was running the branch at the minute said, look, you can do that, but you need to go and have a chat with June first. So I was marched into June's office and I said to June, look, June, I'm going to cancel the pension because I want the 50 quid and I'm not thinking about pensions at this part. And she just stood there, and she was about half my size. She stood there and said, you're not doing that. I'm not going to let you do that. And that pension is now going to sort of generate a third of my income when I decide to achieve a level of financial independence, just through a conversation where, it came out of a bank account. I didn't miss it. I still went to the pub. It was automated and it came out every time. And there's a few tips that can use to automate your money and make it more efficient. Use pots. If you're a business owner, have a tax pot, have a spend pot, have a marketing pot, use pots of money. I find that a really good way. When it comes to longer term saving, definitely use direct debits. And what I do is my pension contribution automatically goes up by 10% a year. So I make sure that the pension company knows that it's automated, it's a no-brainer, it happens. And start small. If you're not saving longer term, do something and then look at slowly improving it. Tip number 4 is most of my financially independent clients make money work for them. And effectively, what we find is that the ones that do it really well understand the power of compounding. So that's £100 contribution, the red line. The blue line is the interest or the growth on £100 contribution. The yellow line, which is the big line, the line that generates all the growth, is the interest on the interest. So you get growth on the growth on an investment. And that has the biggest impact. Over the longer term, that's where the majority of your route to financial independence is going to be solved. If it's sitting in the bank, particularly with low interest rates, you're not going to get that growth or the growth on the growth. And that's the difference. That's what makes your journey to financial independence easier. However, you also need to be comfortable with risk when you invest. So the first question that we answer for a lot of clients is why invest? And Terry's going to love this because we did start with Freddo's to explain inflation, Terry, but we took your tip and went for Big Macs eventually. So open forum on this one. A Big Mac in 1980 cost 89p. How much do you think a Big Mac costs now?
£3.49.
£3.49. Good one. Anybody else?
£5.90.
Five. Okay,
That's a meal deal.
I wasn't including the chips, Steve, but whatever you want, mate. Anybody else? One more guess.
£3.79.
£3.79. Okay, it's actually £3.89. I think, Carol, you've seen me do this before, but £3.89. And you were 10p out, so it's not bad. But the reason we mention that is because the reason we invest and don't just let the money sit passively is because we need to make sure that we're getting growth that counteracts the cost of inflation. You know, the cost of living is growing, is going up year in, year out. You've got a 300+% level of growth in the cost of Big Macs over that period of time. We need to make sure that if you want this money to give you the lifestyle you want when you've got that financial independence, we get the growth with it. But investing comes with risks. That's a 120-year view of the stock market. As you can see, the red lines are when it goes up, and the black lines are when it goes down, typically every 10 to 15 years. The last black line we had was this time last year. And I said to all of my clients, we're not doing anything because this too shall pass. And actually, we're sitting on this year where that's gone on. And the value certainly sometimes we add as financial planners is to say to our clients, do nothing when their emotions are screaming at them, panic. Our job is to make sure they don't. And what we do is put those ups and downs into perspective by showing them things like this and showing them, yes, the markets do go down, but over the longer term, and this is what we're interested in, markets go up. But you need to invest at a level you feel comfortable. And certainly, you know, you can take more or less risk when you invest. You can go for the speedboat route and go, you know, this might be a potential quicker route to my destination, but a bit bumpier. Or you can go for the cruise ship route, which is a little bit smoother, a little bit slower, still gets me there, but just takes a bit longer, depending on how you emotionally feel about risk. I would say this, wouldn't I? But a lot of financially successful people, in my experience, ask for help. Now, I'm a fan at the minute of this book. It's a amazingly illustrated book. Have a look at it. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. It's a lovely book to read, full of wisdom and knowledge, and I've loved. And one of my favourite pages in it is, what's the bravest thing you've ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. Because we know that asking help is hard, right? You know, particularly when, you know, you come to somebody like me, and my job is to listen to your life story and you tell me everything you own. You know, I get how difficult that is. But sometimes, particularly if you're in a period of transition, it's really important to ask for help. But bear in mind that before you come and see a financial planner, there's plenty of free help out there as well. You've got the money advice service. You've got the citizens advice. My friend, about 10 years ago, there's a guy called Pete Matthew, runs a website and YouTube channel called Meaningful Money. The content on there is amazing. So if you're at the start of that financial independence journey, or you feel that you don't need financial advice at the moment, but want to get educated first, check out Meaningful Money, because there's hours and hours of content. It's amazing stuff. And then eventually, when you get to a point where you feel you need advice, there's plenty of good financial planners and advisors out there. I think you need to, when you pick a financial planner or advisor, have somebody you know, like and trust. Our relationship with our clients tends to be for decades. So you've got to work with somebody you know, like and trust when you're picking somebody. I'd always suggest that the priority for working with a financial planner is they talk about products after they understand what you want to achieve as a goal. You know, the product is just the vehicle for you to get to your destination. That's all it is. So do they understand enough about what you're looking to achieve? Are they focused on your plan as opposed to just a product that might fit? You know, pick somebody that's plan focused, not product focused. Are they qualified, and to what level? You know, I always think that sort of people who invest in their own personal development and continue to are the ones that you want to work with. And do they need an advisor? You know, we've had a lot of people walk through the doors of Savello this year. Probably about 30% of them, we've said to them, we don't add enough value to validate our fees. So we've helped them, we've had an hour's conversation with them, and we've declined taking them on as clients because we think they don't need us at that point. So do they need, or can they afford a relationship with an advisor? And one of my favourite clients is a lady, ex-HR manager of ICI. She's in her early 80s now, and we've looked after her for 9 years. And I'll go along for the review meeting. And the question she asks me every year, really bluntly, is, what do I pay you for again? Does your financial planner and advisor add value? And you want to work with somebody who's going to be consistently doing that, even if it is just for the reassurance stuff and knowing that they're at the end of the line and that sort of good stuff. But working with a financial planner, we think, can add value because they give you clarity in terms of where you're going and make sure you're on track. They help you with the technical side, you know, invest appropriately, save tax, work out what the right product is. Anybody who knows me knows that I like to delegate, and I work with busy people. My clients are busy, successful people on the whole. And in my life, I like to delegate stuff both to my team, but also to professionals who can support me and my clients to live the life I want. Working with a financial planner allows you to delegate because you're saying to somebody, I'm going to partner with you, give you the trust and responsibility to support you and work really well on that. But what we also do for our clients is nudge them in the right direction. You know, if we're busy, sometimes our longer term strategic financial plans get lost in the mix and we wake up going, I wish I would have sorted that 5 years ago. So our job as professionals is to make sure that we keep somebody on track. Again, can't guarantee that we'll take every single client on because we only take clients on when we add value, but we're always open to a conversation, particularly with members of the HMB community, about how we might be able to help. And we typically, when I put this on the HMB community, I'll add a link to see if you wanted to chat to see whether we can help. Now, weirdly, I was quite nervous there because this is my little tribe. So how was that? Was that all right?
Yeah.
Good, brilliant, good stuff. Any questions?
Yeah, I got.
Terry, tell me.
So, I love that number, okay? Like the take the number, divide it by 4, and then multiply it by 100. And I did a quick calculation. I'm like, whoops.
Well, I mean, bear in mind, Terry, that number's always going to be big. Okay,
Right.
because what
So
it doesn't take into account is the elements of income you've already got. So you might
so
have.
my question to you is, do you have to make people sit back and reassess that number? So, because one of the things I've had discussions about in the past is that the number you need now is going to drop because you're not going to spend as much in your 80s as you are in your 60s.
Great question. So we use a tool called cash flow that effectively allows us to change the number you need, the income you need throughout your life.
Right.
Now, in our experience, when we have a conversation with the client initially, a lot of that, the sort of income they're going to need is probably going to be higher in the early years of financial independence, because they've got more time and they've still got the fitness to go and live their life and travel and do that sort of stuff. And then it probably tapers down over time as they get a bit older. That the 4% calculation doesn't account for any of that, but our software, when the client works with us, does.
Right.
So we can, if somebody says, tell us the life you want to live, we'll build a bespoke financial plan based on what they tell us. The only challenge I've got about reducing the income in your 80s, and we build that, is when we're thinking about longer term financial plans, we always need to think about the cost of care, because once that kicks in, a financial plan gets really expensive.
Right.
But really good question, mate. And 4% is to go, where am I? And to sort of spark a bit more of a debate, but we'd do it in a bit more of a nuanced way.
Right.
Any other questions? I think I've stunned everybody into silence again. I don't know if that's a good sign or not, to be honest.
You've done a good job, Chris.
I was going to say, it's all very clear. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. I appreciate that, mate. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. And we've had two new. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate that. We've had two new latecomers to the meeting. We've got Andy and Steve. Steve, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Chris. Yeah,
we are definitely spending too much time together at the minute, Steve. I've only seen you 4 times this week.
I tell you what, that is absolutely some achievement. I know, unbelievable. And Andy, I've seen Andy a couple of times this week as well.
I know. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Well, me, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, fine. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for arranging this meeting, Chris. I'm Stephen James. I'm a local agent of 27 years in the high street by the KFC, and they're a property rental sales management multi-skilled agency. We're sort of one hat for all, really. And funny enough, Chris, I've just had a quick coffee with Mark from First Step, but I'll come back to that later. Just had a quick coffee with him and a sandwich. But as an agency, we are doing quite well. The market, considering the COVID for retail, has been very good. Residential has been pretty good. The market is good. Dare I say it? You did mention the chart there earlier. It's a semi-bull market at the moment, where there is a lot of confidence in residential, considering with limited.
And can I give you a shout out, Steve? Because I know you do amazing work in the local community, supporting good causes, and just being a bit of a legend, basically.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. It's probably takes away the stress sometimes, and doing something different does help with the day-to-day activities. But and
the question we asked at the start of the meeting that I want to come back to you on is, what's your favourite city in the world?
My personal favourite city in the world. Well, obviously we've all learned travel people. For the bustle noise, I guess Hong Kong, not Hong Kong. I do apologise. New York, Singapore.
New York, Singapore. Singapore's on my list. One of my things on my bucket list is that swimming pool on top of the hotel,
that's
the infinity
right.
pool.
That's the new one. That's the new one. Yeah, in New York. I've run the New York Marathon, which I know you do a lot of running, but New York. Been there 3 or 4 times. It never ceases to amaze me. It's just a noisy, bustly. It's a fantastic place.
Amazing. Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate you joining the meeting.
You're welcome.
Andy, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, Mr. Dames, and as you said, this is not the first time we've met this week, and neither Steve and James. This just goes to show you that the good people of Havering come together and support one another, and that's what it's all about.
Well, you know what, mate? I mean, the fact that you volunteered to do your Havering Means Business suit in a mascot costume coming up is, I mean, I'm excited about it. Are you?
Chris, can we rewind the track there? That's what you asked me to do. I didn't agree to do that. Listen, you know me. I'm game for a laugh. I'll do anything. But I don't think people will take me seriously if I'm doing a presentation about the wonderful St. Francis Hospice as a lion.
Yeah, true,
right?
True.
But you know what? When we go back to face, I'll surprise you one day, and I will turn up one day at one of your meetings as Frankie, and you'll embrace it.
Well, I mean, mate, the fact that, I mean, funny enough, because, you know, I've told you this before, but you know that I'm writing the Kindness Project book at the minute based on the podcast. You're featured in it because our first meeting was so memorable because you were just in bright orange, and I always remember that. And the fact that we had such a legendary chat during that first meeting, I still look back with fondness.
There's something really important about that, Chris. You're saying about when we met the very first time. It's because when I was a community fundraiser, I was here, there, and everywhere across the community, and it's very, very important that St. Francis Hospice is visual. We need to be seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I look like I've just been tangoed. I agree with you, but it left you with the memory, didn't it? You've kind of never forgotten it. So there you go.
Did. No, and we've become friends since, and I really value that, mate. So talk to me a little bit about what's going on at St. Francis.
That's really kind, Chris. It's very, very fast moving now in the world of fundraising because we are all getting back to some kind of normality now. So Chris is a runner, and I know everybody else does different things, but the mass participation events are now coming back. People are getting booked on. I've got people ringing me saying, oh, I've read about the hospice are doing a skydive later in the year. It's really about, you know, doing your bit, but finding your fit, finding what you want to do that helps the hospice. But what I'm most excited to come on here and say, Chris, and you've probably mentioned it before, and I don't know, I apologize, I've been on a previous meeting, is that a wonderful, wonderful local man by the name of Mike Brace, he's from Hornchurch, but he's almost one of our celebrities in Havering. Just an incredible story, really. For those who wouldn't know, he was blinded at 10 years old in a firework accident. And that has not held him back from having the most incredible life. Anybody that's on this meeting today has probably never been on This Is Your Life, but Mike Brace has, and he has an incredible story to tell. He has come forward to me and asked us if we could put on an online event with him. It's on the evening of Wednesday, the 2nd of June. I can put the link in the chat, but I know that Havering Means Business are fully behind this event. They're supporting us massively. Stephen James has been an incredible help with all of his contacts. That's what I'd ask any of you, really. If you see this information, share it with a friend. It's as simple as this, guys. If 25 people attend the event, £250 is raised for the hospice. If 50 people attend, £500. You're all better at maths than me. 1,000 people, not 1,000 people, 100 people, £1,000. Simple as that. And it's going to be a great evening.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to be coming along, and we'll be promoting it really openly and actively on Havering Means Business as well. So thanks, Andy. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Carol's getting excited because it's that time again. It's time for Wins of the Week. So she's off mute already. I love it. Who said I was coming to you first, Carol? I am. But talk to me about your biggest win this week.
I'm really excited. Tonight, we're going to Gloucester to stay with my mum.
Oh, God, love it. Absolutely love it. When's the last time you saw her?
We did manage to get around the rules, should we say? Oh my goodness, about last October.
Oh, what brilliant news. Is she going to get a hug? Is she going to get a hug?
I think it's allowed, isn't it? And she's had both of her jabs and I've had one. So I'm thinking I just won't be able to stop myself.
100%. 100%. I know it was a bit premature, but I was over my dad's on Sunday, and I know it's a day before we meant to, but yeah, it was a nice cuddle. good hug. Particularly when your parents get to a certain age, I think it's important to make sure you connect with them. So that is amazing, an amazing win of the week. Steve, talk to me about your win of the week.
I think the best win of the week is since last Friday, I've been seeing a few of you guys 3 or 4 times. Oh, I tell you, I actually took my wife to London last night. We went to Smith's at Wapping.
That looked nice, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, we went up to London and had a nice little walk about Fenchurch Street, and lovely to see the city the lights are starting to come on. There was a few nice wine bars open, and we just went to the nice fish restaurant in Wapping High Street. So that was very pleasant.
That's amazing.
And it's nice to see the spring, the roses are blossoming and everyone's starting to hook up and meet and get these events. The Mike Brace night will be excellent, and yourself coming to the round table meeting, Chris, which was excellent, and meeting us last Friday for the
it was all good, Steve. Really enjoyed it. It's been a very social week, hasn't it? I've liked it. Steve Chilton, tell me about what your win of the week is, mate.
Well, I've got 2 this week. Tuesday was the first time that the entire office got together. So we went out at a pub lunch, which was lovely to see everybody, and it just felt a little bit different actually seeing everyone face to face.
Yeah.
That was a lovely day. And the other one is tomorrow, which is off to Wembley tomorrow.
We're off to Wembley.
Off to Wembley.
We're off to Wembley, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll be in the terraces supporting Hornchurch, so I'm really looking forward to that. And that's like almost a great way to kind of celebrate coming out of lockdown, is just to go out and have a beer and watch the football. And
the table's booked for the beers. We're there. So yeah, all good, mate.
I can't wait, mate.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you face to face tomorrow.
It's been a long time, mate. It's been a long time.
Yes.
Long overdue, mate.
And my win of the week is I emailed Sam this week, and she's coming on my podcast to talk about her podcast. So that's all good as well.
Great.
Ian, tell me about what's your big win this week.
Well, Steve, I've got 2. The first one is later on today. I'm going out with my daughter firing guns again. It's the first time we've been able to do that for like 15 months.
Where do you go for that? What?
We belong to an airsoft club, just like air rifles rather than proper guns.
Okay.
So we're doing that later on today. And then yesterday, I did my first radio interview for Chelmsford Business Partnerships on Phoenix FM. So that will be out on the website pretty soon.
And Chelmsford Business Partnerships, that's going great guns as well. What you and Sally are doing over there looks really good.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's exceeding our expectations. Wednesday we had 44 people on Zoom for a lunch. And in the current climate, that's kind of unheard of. So, we're really pleased.
Yeah, great stuff. Well done, Ian. Top man. Christine, talk to me about your win.
I think they're just lots of little wins. I just think I'm just super grateful for our business kind of picking up momentum, and kind of we're just crazy doing proposals and taking on new clients. So grateful for that. Looking forward to tomorrow, my nephew's Holy Communion, so family get together. And then next weekend, we've got another family weekend away, which was postponed from last year. So lots of
amazing. Sounds perfect. Sounds like some really good wins. Terry, talk to me about what your big win of the week is, mate.
It has to be getting the final draft of the leaflet over to Carol. that's 3 months in the wait, like, from WPA. But yeah, thank you for your patience, Carol, and I must say thank you for the speed you turned that round as well. Absolutely brilliant.
Did you have to nudge him once or twice, Carol? Is that what he's saying?
I had to nudge the head office so many times.
Well, the challenge with working in a compliance environment.
Absolutely, yeah. But
Sam, talk to me about what your big win of the week is.
I started the week by hugging my best friend, which was so lovely. We went to Centre Parks this weekend, which was a much needed break. My kids' school was shut on Monday, so I took advantage. And it was just so lovely to get away and be together and be with friends. And we actually managed to eat in a restaurant. Like on Monday, they opened up the restaurants on the site for the first time. So we had been able to do stuff, but all outside and order like kind of takeaway. We actually ate in a restaurant. They opened up the swimming pool complex. We all went in there. It was just like everyone's saying, it was so nice to feel like normal, doing normal things, eating with friends, being with friends, hugging friends. And that just kind of, I think, set the week up for me. And on a business level, a big win is I've finally sent a set of wills over to clients. That has been quite a complicated case that's been ongoing since November. And finally to get those drafts sent over just feels like a reason to crack open the wine tonight for me.
And we learned something new this week, Sam, didn't we? We've been on the phone sort of sharing technical expertise. So thank you for your input, and hopefully next time we have a case like that, we can work together on it. So thank you.
Very exciting to have someone to talk about inheritance tax with, yeah.
What's wrong with our lives, Sam? Well, anyway, we'll get there. BJ, talk to me about what's your big win of the week, mate.
Big win, something that I know that you've worked a lot on, Chris. I sat down with my particular office and the seniors there because during the pandemic, obviously, we're operating rota systems.
Yeah.
And although clients come into the office, there aren't as many people there. But I sat down with the seniors and we spent a lot of time really reimagining our client journey, from the moment that they pull up. Because one of the bugbears, of course, of going anywhere to see anyone is you can't find a parking space. And, how aggravating it is if a professional, the people sitting around this table, tells a client to come in to go and see them for something, and you can't even get a parking space there. So we were just walking everything from the moment they park up to reception, to how they're dealt with, to where they go and sit, how long it will take, sorting out the office loos, the client areas, everything that they see, so that we pick our game back up, so that as more activity floods back in, more people go around, that phrase normality, we're putting our A game in place.
So it's really interesting, BJ, because we're doing a lot of work in our firm about the critical non-essentials, the bit that makes a good impression. And when you start working on it, you realise that despite how good you think you've got it, there's always gaps. Our gap was we had a really good introduction email to potential new clients, but that introduction email wasn't going out to our potential professional partners. And I was like, well, we're really good at encouraging clients, but shouldn't we be doing that for everybody we engage with? So yeah, glad you're. It feels like a journey that never ends. That's the problem, but we'll get slowly better at it, and hopefully deliver a better experience as a result. Simon, talk to me about your big win of the week, mate.
As an organisation, I think the win of the week is doing some specific or setting up some specific workshops. So we've got some ladies only networking opportunities. So if you do go to our website, which is a building link on our events page, you'll see that we've got some activities going on for that. So and getting back to business type stuff, also tendering opportunities, and also we'll be delivering a sales workshop as well, which is very in tune with this returning back to work and keeping clients and winning new clients. So yeah, that's really been the crucial thing for me. From a personal perspective, I have finished one of my many projects. Some of you might remember I was building a wardrobe. It is now complete. It's now complete. The wardrobe that I was building is now complete and completely
I expect
finished
a WhatsApp
and ready to use.
like you did last time you finished a project, to let me know what it looks like. Yeah,
indeed. I could start my own business, and then I could actually mentor myself then, couldn't I?
That's true. That'd be good. Yeah, do it yourself mentorship. I'm not sure how well that works, to be frank, Simon, but yeah, worth looking at, certainly. And just we'll come on to Andy in a minute. My big win is we have nearly doubled our HMB premium membership. We've had loads of new people join the HMB premium community over the past couple of weeks. So welcome. We'll certainly see a few new faces join these meetings over the next few weeks. And just thank you to all of you for continuing to support the work we do and moving forward. One thing we're keen on though as a community is, as I said, is do well, do good. You know, what positive contribution can we make into the world? And Andy, I want to hear you win, but I also want to mention something we're doing with Julie Bell from Action Coach, who's one of our premium members. There's an event in Rainham Working Man's Club coming up. Andy, what's your big win of the week? But can you mention Julie's event for me, just so we give that a plug as well, mate?
Of course I will, because Julie's event is, I'm actually dealing with the family and I've attended that event before. It's an annual. So if you ever get to read the story of that, guys, it's the reality of what can happen in life, what's just around the corner. This was a very young mum in her early 30s who left 2 sons behind. And they do it annually. It's a family fun day. So there's a football match that's involved, but there's a lot more that goes with it. There's things for the whole family, and that is taking place. I think it's July, isn't it, Chris? We can get the dates anyway. But I deal with the mother, and again, you want a reality check, guys, of life. The mother and the daughter had the same illness at the same time. The mother survived, the daughter didn't. That's the reality of, you know, my work and what I deal with. So yeah, it'd be lovely if people can get behind that. And then I only found out this week, Chris, that it was Julie's niece. So small world that we live in, really. So I am just going to pick you up on one thing, Chris. You didn't ask me my favourite town in the world.
Didn't I?
No, and I have to say this. I have to say this loud and clear. My dad was one of 11 out of Bethnal Green. My mum was one of 9 out of Stoke Newington. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner. It's a London town.
It's true. It's a great city.
That's that.
City. I love it.
I have 3 very quick wins this week, all very different. One, I got a real life hug from the legend that is Chris Dames.
Well,
Chris,
you were the one of the. Well, like, I've got a hug list, Andy. You were the ones. You were on
seriously,
my list.
Chris,
I had to give you a hug, mate.
Joking aside, how long has it been since we'd seen each other face to face?
Too long. I mean,
too long.
15, 16 months.
That was a beautiful moment. Secondly, I was with Chris and Steve when West Ham beat West Brom 3-1. Europe, here we come. That's another thing. That was another win. Here's a win that you guys was not expecting. Really something sensational that I did yesterday. I only lost my father on the 30th of December last year. And for the last 5 years of my dad's life, he lived with the early stages of dementia. And I was booked on a course at St. Francis Hospice, which is a real privilege because it's a bus that comes into the hospice and it's a virtual dementia tour. And I had it booked when my dad was alive. I wanted a greater understanding of what life was like for him. Sadly, because of COVID, that never happened. And but the bus came this week and I was worried what effect it was going to have on me because I'm still very raw with my grief. But I went and did this virtual tour yesterday, ladies and gents, and they're the only company in the country that can offer this virtual dementia tour. My God, I learned so much. It was incredible. And do you know what? Dementia is going to touch 1 in 3 of us. So it's really great to go and get this because it's going to happen to one of us. And it's about treating people that have that illness as life progresses. Incredible win. And I think that my biggest win was that I learned from that course that my dad was nowhere near as severe with it as I thought he was. That's been a great comfort to me. That's my win.
Love it. I can't think of any better way to end. So thank you, Andy. Really appreciate that. And thank you to everybody in the community for attending. I've really enjoyed today. Hopefully you have too. Have a lovely remainder of the weekend. And I will see you on the Havering Means Business community over the course of the next week or so. See you later, guys.
Best wishes.
Bye, everybody. Bye.